One day, your kidney reports look normal. You feel mostly fine. Nothing feels urgent. A few months later, you notice something small. You get tired earlier in the day. Your body feels a little heavier by evening. Then the nights change. You start waking up more often to use the bathroom. Sleep doesn't feel as refreshing. And slowly, quietly, the numbers begin to shift. Creatinine creeps up. GFR dips slightly. Not enough to panic, but enough to raise questions. Here's what most people don't realize. Kidney damage almost never happens suddenly. It builds silently, over years, without pain, without clear warnings. That's why so many people feel confused. They stop junk food, they cut back on salt, they start eating healthy, and yet their reports still worsen. Here's the twist no one talks about. Sometimes the problem isn't junk food at all. Sometimes it's something used every single day, in small amounts, something considered healthy. Today, we're going to talk about one daily spice, a spice that helps some people, but in others, quietly forces the kidneys to work harder than they should, and most people have no idea it's happening. Why kidneys get overworked, the part no one explains. Simply, your kidneys are quiet workers. They don't ask for attention. They don't complain early. Every single day, they filter your blood. They remove waste. They balance minerals. They manage fluids. They keep your body stable without you ever feeling it. But here's the part most people never think about. Kidneys are designed for steady work, not constant pressure. When everything is balanced, filtration happens smoothly. Waste moves out. Fluids stay controlled. Your body feels normal. The problem starts when that balance is disturbed, not by one big mistake, but by small daily pushes, things that seem harmless, things done for health, things repeated every day. Each time something increases filtration, demand, the kidneys adjust. They work a little harder, they filter a little more. At first you feel nothing, but over time the strain adds up. This is why kidney stress doesn't announce itself with pain. Instead, it shows up quietly. You feel more tired in the afternoon. Your legs or ankles hold on to a bit more fluid by evening. You wake up more often at night to urinate. Your energy doesn't bounce back the way it used to. And then the labs change. Not dramatically. Not suddenly. Just enough to notice a trend. Creatinine rises slightly. GFR dips a little. Electrolytes shift just enough to feel off. This is where many people get confused. They think, I'm eating better. I've cut junk food. I'm doing the right things. And yet, the kidneys still seem tired. Here's the truth. Kidneys often don't fail because of one bad choice. They weaken because of repeated daily stress. And the most dangerous kind of stress is the kind that feels healthy. Because when something feels healthy, we don't question it. We don't measure it. We don't give the body breaks from it. And the kidneys? They keep working, quietly, until they can't keep up as easily anymore. This is why understanding what pushes your kidneys daily matters more than most people realize. Because kidney health isn't about extremes. It's about what you do, every single day. Daily spices, friend or enemy, what most people never question. Spices have always been seen as healthy. They've been used for generations, in home cooking, in traditional remedies, in natural health routines. They support digestion, they stimulate metabolism, they improve circulation, they make food feel lighter and more satisfying. Because of this, most people never question them. If something is natural and used in small amounts, it must be safe, right? Here's where things get complicated. The problem is rarely the spice itself. The problem is how often, how much, and who is using it. A healthy body can handle stimulation. A stressed body reacts differently, and kidneys are especially sensitive to this difference. As we age, kidney efficiency naturally declines. Not enough to feel sick, not enough to cause pain, just enough to reduce reserve. So when something increases filtration demand every single day, even slightly, the kidneys feel it. You don't notice it immediately, because the change is subtle. What once felt energizing now feels draining. What once felt cleansing now feels tiring. And this is why the same spice can behave very differently in different people. Someone younger, well hydrated, with normal kidney numbers, they may feel fine, but someone over 50, with slightly elevated creatinine, a history of blood pressure, or mild dehydration, their kidneys respond differently. This is where confusion begins. Two people use the same spice, in similar amounts, with very different outcomes. One feels better. The other slowly starts feeling off. More fatigue, more nighttime urination, more water retention, subtle lab changes that don't make sense. And because the spice is considered healthy, no one suspects it, no one measures it, no one questions daily use, no one takes breaks. This is the danger of healthy habits done automatically. Anything used daily becomes powerful, even natural things, even helpful things. And when it comes to kidney health, power needs awareness, because kidneys don't warn loudly. They adjust silently, and by the time symptoms feel obvious, the stress has often been there for years. This is why understanding which daily habits stimulate the kidneys matters more than people realize, and why one common spice deserves a closer look. The spice reveal: why detox isn't always rest. Now let's talk about the spice itself, not in a dramatic way, not as a villain, but as something that needs to be understood properly. The spice we're talking about is turmeric. For many people, turmeric is seen as a healing spice. It's known for reducing inflammation, supporting digestion, and activating detox pathways in the body. And for the right person, used the right way, it can be helpful. But here's what most people don't realize. Turmeric doesn't just clean, it also stimulates. It increases metabolic activity, it influences blood flow, it activates liver and detox pathways, and when detox pathways are activated, the kidneys don't rest. They work, because every detox process ends the same way. Waste still has to be filtered. Excess compounds still have to leave the blood. Fluid balance still has to be maintained. This is the part that often gets misunderstood. Detox does not always mean relief. Sometimes detox means extra filtration. For a healthy, well-hydrated body, that extra work may not be a problem. But for kidneys that already have less reserve, even mild daily stimulation can add pressure over time. Not suddenly, not dramatically, quietly. This is why turmeric can feel energizing at first. You may feel lighter, more active, less stiff. But over time, some people notice subtle changes. More frequent urination, fatigue that shows up earlier in the day, slight swelling by evening, lab numbers that slowly drift. And because turmeric is considered healthy, no one connects the dots. They don't think to adjust the amount. They don't think to take breaks. They don't think to match it to their kidney condition. This doesn't mean turmeric is bad. It means context matters. The same spice can support one body and quietly stress another, especially when used daily, especially in concentrated forms, especially without enough water. And this is why turmeric needs to be used with awareness, not assumption. Because kidneys don't respond to labels like healthy, they respond to workload. Who should be careful? This part is very important. This is where things become personal, because the same spice does not affect everybody the same way. Some people can use turmeric regularly and feel fine. Others need to be more careful, especially if the kidneys are already working harder than they should. You should pay closer attention if your creatinine has ever been even slightly elevated, not dangerously high, just a little above your old normal. That small change matters. You should also be cautious if you have a history of high blood pressure or diabetes. Both conditions affect kidney blood flow over time. They reduce kidney reserve quietly, even when you feel okay. Age matters too. After 50, kidney efficiency naturally declines, not enough to cause pain, not enough to trigger alarms, but enough that extra daily stimulation adds up faster. Hydration plays a bigger role than most people realize. If you often forget to drink water or rely on tea, coffee, or flavored drinks instead, your kidneys have to concentrate waste more. And concentrated waste means more strain. This is where turmeric's daily stimulation can tip the balance. The spice itself hasn't changed. Your body has. And that's the part many people miss. They think, I've been using this for years. But bodies change. Kidney capacity changes. What worked before may not work the same way now. This is why two people can use turmeric in similar ways and have very different outcomes. One feels supported. The other feels tired. More nighttime urination. More swelling by evening. A sense that the body isn't clearing things as smoothly. And here's the most important thing to understand. Kidneys don't send loud warnings. They send signals. Subtle ones. Easy to ignore. Easy to explain away. That's why awareness matters more than fear. If you recognize yourself in any of these situations, it doesn't mean you must avoid turmeric completely. It means you should stop assuming and start paying attention. Because kidney care isn't about removing everything. It's about using the right things in the right way for the body you have now. Common mistakes people make. This is where problems start. Most kidney stress doesn't come from one big decision. It comes from small habits done automatically. And turmeric is a perfect example of this. One of the most common mistakes is using it every single day on an empty stomach. People believe this makes it stronger, more cleansing, more effective. But an empty stomach means faster absorption, stronger stimulation, more pressure on detox pathways. And when detox pathways are pushed, the kidneys feel it. Another mistake is not measuring quantity. A pinch turns into a teaspoon turns into multiple servings a day, added to cooking, added to drinks, added to supplements. Each use feels small, but together they add up. Then there's the supplement problem. Capsules, powders, extracts, often more, concentrated than anything used in traditional cooking. People assume natural means gentle, but concentration changes everything. A capsule is not the same as turmeric in food. Water intake is another major issue. Turmeric increases metabolic activity. That means more waste moving through the system. If water intake doesn't increase too, waste becomes more concentrated. Concentrated waste equals more kidney strain. And finally, there's the mistake of never taking breaks. Daily use becomes routine. Routine becomes automatic. Automatic means unexamined. Weeks turn into months, months into years. And because turmeric is considered healthy, no one thinks to pause and reassess. Here's the most important thing to remember. The problem is rarely the spice. The problem is the routine around it. Healthy habits still need structure. They still need limits. They still need to match the body using them. When routines are thoughtful, the body responds well. When routines are automatic, the kidneys carry the burden quietly. This is why awareness matters more than removing one ingredient completely. Because kidney health isn't about fear, it's about precision. When this spice may actually help, context matters. Now let's restore balance. Because turmeric isn't the enemy, and it was never meant to be. For the right person, used the right way, turmeric can be supportive, especially when inflammation is part of the problem. Low-grade inflammation builds quietly as we age. It affects joints, muscles, blood vessels, and yes, kidney tissue too. In these cases, turmeric's anti-inflammatory effect can reduce internal stress. It can make movement feel easier, digestion feel smoother, the body feel less stiff overall. But here's the difference most people miss. Support depends on context. Turmeric tends to work better when used with food, not on an empty stomach. Food slows absorption, softens stimulation, reduces sudden metabolic demand. This makes the response gentler, especially for kidneys. Quantity matters too. Small amounts used occasionally are very different from concentrated doses used daily. More is not better here. Consistency without excess is. Timing also plays a role. Using turmeric earlier in the day gives the body time to process and clear waste. Late-night use can push filtration when kidneys are meant to slow down. And then there's hydration. When turmeric is paired with adequate water, waste moves more smoothly, filtration feels lighter, strain is reduced. This is why some people feel better with turmeric while others feel worse. It's not about good or bad, it's about fit. The body you have today is not the same body you had 10 years ago. And kidney support isn't about forcing results. It's about creating conditions where the kidneys don't feel rushed. Here's the line to remember. Kidney support is slow. Real stability isn't dramatic. If something feels like it's pushing the body, it probably is. And if something feels supportive, it usually works quietly. That's the difference between stimulation and care. And turmeric, when used thoughtfully, belongs in the second category. Safer way to use it. How to reduce kidney stress. If you choose to use turmeric, the goal isn't to stop your kidneys from working. The goal is to stop overworking them. That comes down to a few simple rules. Not complicated, not extreme, just thoughtful. First, amount matters more than people think. Turmeric doesn't need to be used in large doses to be effective. Small amounts are often enough. When quantity increases, stimulation increases too, and kidneys feel that change immediately. If you're using turmeric daily, less is safer than more. Second, timing changes the response. Turmeric is gentler when used with meals. Food slows absorption. It spreads the workload. It gives the kidneys time to process waste gradually. Using it on an empty stomach creates a sharper response. For some bodies, that's too much. Earlier in the day is usually better than late at night. Kidneys naturally slow down during rest. Pushing detox late adds unnecessary strain. Third, breaks are not weakness. This is where many people go wrong. They think daily use is required. They think stopping means losing benefits. In reality, periodic breaks give the kidneys time to reset. Alternate days, a few days off each week, short pauses every few weeks. These small breaks reduce cumulative stress without removing support completely. Water plays a quiet but critical role. Turmeric moves things through the body. Waste still has to exit. Without enough water, waste becomes concentrated. Filtration becomes harder. Proper hydration turns stress into flow. And finally, listen to signals. If you notice, increased fatigue, more swelling, frequent nighttime urination. That's not failure. That's feedback. Kidneys respond to care, not force. They don't need to be pushed. They need to be supported. And when routines respect that, the body responds quietly, just the way healthy systems should. Warning signs not to ignore. These are easy to miss. Kidney stress doesn't usually show up loudly. It shows up subtly. That's why so many people miss it. One of the earliest signs is swelling, not dramatic, just a little puffiness in the ankles, feet, or fingers by evening. It may disappear overnight, but it keeps coming back. Another signal is fatigue that feels different. Not tired from activity, but tired even after rest. Energy that doesn't fully return. A sense that the body is carrying extra weight. Changes in urination are also important. Going more often at night. Urine that looks more foamy, darker, or unusually pale. A pattern that slowly changes over time. These aren't emergencies, but they are messages. Lab results often tell the story quietly. Creatinine rising just a little, GFR dipping slightly, electrolytes drifting out of their usual range. Individually, these changes don't seem serious. Together, they form a pattern. And here's the part that matters most. Most people don't act at this stage. They wait for pain. They wait for a diagnosis. They wait for something obvious. But kidneys don't work that way. By the time symptoms feel urgent, the stress has often been there for years. This doesn't mean damage is guaranteed. It means timing matters. Small adjustments made early can protect function long term. Ignoring early signals forces the kidneys to adapt longer than they should, and adaptation has limits. This is why awareness is powerful. Not fear, not panic, just paying attention to what the body has been telling you quietly, because kidneys don't fail suddenly, they get tired slowly, and the earlier you respond, the more options you keep. Final message, what this really means for you. Turmeric is not the problem. And it was never meant to be. Like many natural things, it can be a helper or a quiet stressor. It all depends on the body using it. For some people, turmeric reduces inflammation and supports balance. For others, used daily without structure, it slowly adds pressure to kidneys that already have less reserve. That doesn't make it bad, it makes it powerful. And powerful things require awareness. This is the mistake most people make. They assume healthy means always safe. They assume natural means no limits. They assume daily habits don't need review. But kidney health doesn't work on assumptions. It works on patterns, small choices, repeated daily, over years. That's how kidneys stay strong, or quietly get overworked. The goal isn't to remove everything. The goal is to use things intentionally, right amount, right timing, right body. Because when kidneys feel supported, they respond quietly. Energy stabilizes, swelling eases, lab numbers stop drifting, and life feels easier to manage. If kidney numbers matter to you, don't take daily habits lightly. Not with fear, not with panic, with awareness. Most people discover this too late. You don't have to.